Hypnospace was this really cool game. It was kind of like an interactive story told through the eyes of a 90s web forum. You were clicking through all of these ridiculous pages, full of these wacky characters posting all of these hilarious things. And there was also this really human element to it, you know, like you start by laughing at all these posts, but before you know it, you're kind of like learning about these people and all of the little things that affect their lives. The best character in the entire game was easily Zane, teenage edgelord and webcomic extraordinaire. And now the wizard behind it all, Jay Tholen, also the creator of DROPSY, has dedicated himself not just to bringing Zane to life, but also the exact kind of thing he would genuinely make.
When I was 16, I designed a computer game in this notebook, and it was awesome. But then, it got lost. Or was it?
If this isn't the greatest premise for a spinoff in video game history, I don't know what is.
Zane's got his own game studio now, Big Z Studios. And just last month, he sent me what was probably the best DM of my entire career. Do you want to play my game, Slayer's X, and do a vid? If not, I won't cry, but I will be depressed, and I will get with your mom.
I didn't see this at first because I'm never on Twitter, so apparently the day went by, and then he follows up hours later with, JK, I won't get with your mom. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I was not going to play this thing, but, you know, the moment he said that he wasn't going to do my mom, I thought, okay, that's pretty reasonable, you know, why not? Why not try it out? I start typing in the supplied review code, but then my keyboard started glowing green, hack blood energy coursing through my veins. I am the X-Slayer. The story in this game is so freaking cool. So it's like Zane's training with Mikey Psyche, right, trying to unlock his true hack blood powers. But then the PSYKOZ, they start blowing up the neighborhood, and then Mikey Psyche's like, nah, Zane, stay here where it's safe. I'll go. But then the radio says,
"This just in, PSYKOZ blew up Zane's mom when she was driving her car home."
Now that's a revenge reason if I've ever heard one. Like, I would not the kind of person to get violent, but if that happened to me, I would probably get violent. So, being made by Zane, you can pretty much expect the most edgily juvenile product possible. The environments are littered with childish insults scribbled on the walls, a lot of references to poop, farts, and pee, and Zane's mouth, it is just an endless waterfall of edgy, but swearless comebacks.
Got you, you stupid idiot. You pick a fight with Zane? You don't have a brain! Take that, you mother-flippin' turd pile!
I love the implications here. Like, he made this thing just as gory as its contemporaries, but he draws a line at swearing for some reason.
I'm awesome.
Not subtle with the ego either, oh my god. I love all this crap he has plastered everywhere. Zane, president of the world. He's such an important CEO, look how important Zane is. It just brings you back to a time where, like, I don't know, I'd make a username that says some dumb shit like, James is awesome, 007. So as you can probably see, the gameplay is a really big throwback to the boomer shooter days, and if I'm gonna be honest, haven't really played too many of those kinds of games. Like, I only played Doom a handful of times, but I do really like Duke Nukem 3D. I love all the maps, I love how they depict all these little locations with the retro graphics, and I love how full of secrets and exploration it is. And of course, the cheesy one-liners are just classic.
It's time to kick gum.
Between playing that and, you know, general cultural osmosis, I've always had a pretty big appreciation for these kinds of games. I mean, it was back when HUDs didn't need to be those clean, generally appealing interfaces, and instead they looked like some Eldritch tablet or something. Now that was awesome. Slayer's X does a really good job of living up to that kind of look. Just everything about it feels so goddamn authentic. Everything from the low-resolution photograph textures to the billboard enemy sprites, all the way to an original soundtrack that truly sounds of the time. It may look like it's just a comedy game on the surface, but it does not take long to realize that they put a lot of effort into this. This is like a really well-made game. The controls are really tight, the movement feels good, you know, you got the classic head bobbing as you bolt through levels at Mach speed, blasting away with whatever you got. We've got 7 main weapon types. You got the dual pistols, you know, old faithful. There's the shotgun, which fires broken glass, giving you a reason to smash all those windows. You pick it up like ammo, very cool idea. There's a sludge launcher, you know, lobbing explosive cans at enemies. You got a rocket rocket launcher, which fires 3 devastating rockets, a chain gun that's also a chainsaw, and the Hack Blood Talisman, which allows Zane to channel his full Hack Blood power. Laser beams and shit. And of course, if you're out of ammo, you can always fall back on the mighty S-Blade, which can even fire a beam if you have some energy.
The S-Blade has a hack blood charge.
Ooh, man, I love those animations. They really do make every weapon feel incredibly satisfying. I love how he tilts the pistols as he fires. I always thought the animations in Hypnospace were really fantastic, so it's so interesting seeing them take a stab at something so different, yet they nail it just as well. You'll be juggling between these different weapons depending on the situation, what kind of ammo the game will give you, how many windows you can find to smash, and of course, what sorts of enemies you're dealing with. The X-Slayer's mortal enemy are the cartoonishly evil PSYKOZ, and I'm talking full-on Looney Tunes, like the noises they make as they come after you. This guy's off his rocker. Shut up. There's a really good variety of these enemy types too. You've got your standard guys that'll just stand around and fire at you. There's the melee only guys that'll run at you in packs. There's the yellow jacket guys that throw these pouncing time bombs at you. And of course, you got the little guys that float around. It wouldn't be a boomer shooter if it wasn't for that. And man, I love these things. These little jester brains. It kind of looks like a Kirby enemy was redesigned for Doom. I gotta say, I'm pretty blown away by how much fun I had playing this thing. You're zipping through and slamming out those shotgun blasts, boom after boom, and then you pull back with the pistols, and you start popping them off from afar. Though my favorite thing about this game has got to be the map design. I don't know, there's just something about seeing familiar locations recreated with these kinds of old graphics that I just can't get enough of. I just look at these trees right here, and boom, my brain is right back to the fond memories of playing Hard Truck 2 on Windows 98. The amount of detail in this game is quite impressive, honestly. There's so many unique objects and buildings. You can break most objects too, and many things will even have whatever's inside go all over the place when you shoot it. Shoot a bag of chips, chips are going everywhere. Shoot like a detergent, you're gonna see detergent go everywhere. They do that for so many objects. The maps themselves are very free form. A lot of different pathways you can take in or around buildings, tons of side areas to hide for cover or look for supplies. Even when all the enemies were cleared, I still found myself looking all around. Everywhere I would go, I'd find something interesting. And of course, you got the secret areas too. Ooh, it's always fun trying to find all of those in a level. Sometimes I did get pretty lost though. Like I would beat every enemy and the music would die down and I would just be left walking in circles wondering what to do. Did I miss something? I gotta open that door somehow, but I can't find the key. I had the same problem with Duke Nukem too. There's always just like that one key you somehow missed or that one room you didn't go in. A lot of times I would end up just giving up for a little bit and then dicking around in the environment. I mean, I may as well have fun. I'm in an arcade.
Time to throw balls into a hole. If you know what I mean.
But during these moments, during these 10-minute stretches of combing through the level a second time, the game would often do something kind of weird. It would go from this sick action shooter to this melancholy liminal space. Now that we've got nothing left to shoot at, the cheesy punk metal fades and it's replaced with this somber and weightless sound. And then you kind of start to recontextualize all of these environments. They're places you know, places you've been to, places a child would hold on to fondly. Visiting a convenience store with a friend on a late summer evening, trick-or-treating through a trailer park covered in spooky decorations, walking through a lifeless, empty amusement park as the music floats away. These aren't just the kinds of areas that Zane would come up with. These are his memories, the ones that he holds on to dearly, the things long in the past that he wishes he still had. I was slowly getting this weird, empathetic vibe from the game as I wandered around aimlessly to these new, lonely songs. You know when you see pictures of old malls that don't exist anymore and you get this weird feeling, this, childhood melancholy sort of thing? You've moved on, but part of you wishes you were still there because those things were easier to make sense of than whatever it is that we're stuck in now as an adult. Something about it felt kind of sad to me, and Then I found something. This is a massive spoiler. Skip here if you want to experience something really cool, especially if you're a big fan of Hypnospace. This is a really cool piece of lore, and just like a cool kind of thematic thing in general, and it hit me like a brick, so I really want to talk about it. Okay, so of all the little secrets you can find, there was one that felt really out of the ordinary. I wasn't finding Fido under the hidden crawl space, or breaking into a vent and finding a bunch of ammo. No, I fell into a pit that should have had me fall to my death, but instead of dying like usual, I landed on this footing that was apparently there, and there it was, a tear in the geometry, a third wall breaking piece of architecture that really pulls the curtain back. All of this talent, all of this competent game design, it came from a guy named Adam, a guy that Zane was friends with in high school. In fact, this entire game it's just a mod of some game they liked as teenagers. But Adam felt sad for the guy. Dead-end job, can barely support his family. Like, Zane has kids. Totally delusional, thinking this game is gonna be a big hit and help him get his life together financially or something. I read those disgruntled messages left behind by Adam, and it's just... man, you really start to realize how much of this game is reflective of Zane as a person. The rats, for example. Like, at first it seems like a goofy edge kid's idea of a side character, shit-eating rats.
You'll just kick butt, Zane. We'll take care of the mess.
But then you realize he included rats because he loves rats. He used to feed them behind the store. He related to them in a weird way. They were needy and he had the ability to help them. So he made them a character that helps him back in the game. Zane expresses frustration with his own life. He shows you how much he hates his job. He makes a villain out of his boss, an FPS level out of the place he works at. But there's no way he can escape any of it. He's too juvenile. He's just refused to move on from these old things, and he just can't make sense of life as an adult. After you beat the game, you even unlock a couple of bonus maps, and the last one is an unfinished final level for the game. And as you play through what is there, Zane will go on and on about how all of these different parts of it are based on places he'd like going to as a kid.
This is the Idaho DOH. We went there a lot when I was little.
And the authenticity of all of these quiet little things is why I really don't think there's much irony in this game, because I always internalized ironic behavior. When people are trying to do things that are ironic, it feels like the preservation of the fool. It's like, hey, there's nerds out there that I know better than, so let's act in a way that's just reminding the world that there's someone out there worth making fun of. But Slayer's X just doesn't really feel that way to me. Not only do we end up empathizing with this character, but also like the amount of love and effort that the real world developers clearly put into this game, it really feels like they still kind of unironically love this kind of thing. And by extension of those things, Zane ends up feeling less like a preservation of something worth mocking, and more like a preservation of the things that we shouldn't be ashamed of holding on to.
Why am I breaking my own stuff? Why can't I stop busting up my junk?
This is a really funny gag, when you make somebody break the things that belong to them and they react to it, but I like to think of this scene a little differently. I think Zane knows why he's breaking these things, because he hates these things. He hates the things he loves because he knows that they hold him back. Which, that is just a totally subjective reading of the game on my part, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that the game almost comes with this reflection, like Zane is a confused imbalance of these things. Dude's a father, he has a family, he even put his child's work in the game.
My kid actually made this art. Pretty good for a 3-year-old, right? He's awesome.
But his compassion remains buried under his delusions and inability to mature out of these things. So while at first it kinda does feel like a mockery of all the cringy things we all used to be, it slowly begins to feel more and more like a commentary about balancing the things you used to love with all of the hurdles of growing up. You spend so much time with this dude that reminds you of all the glory days, all the fun times. You're having so much fun playing the game, which is direct proof that these things do still hold value. But you also come out of it feeling sort of bad for the kind of person Zane ended up being. It's like, dog, you can hold on to the past. In fact, you totally should hold on to the past. Just don't get stuck there. And I don't know, something about that I find really freaking interesting. All of this stuff, it is all, quiet little details lingering around in the background. You don't necessarily have to notice or think about any of this, but once you do notice it, the game begins to feel like something personal, almost like we're analyzing a person through what they made. Certain things begin to have bigger implications. It was really unexpected, considering the tone of this game, but I was so happy to see them harness that same human sensation that Hypnospace held close to its heart, and DROPSY too, actually, now that I think of it. It's an amazing bonus for the Hypnospace fans that were really invested in the characters. Okay, time for the critique part of the video, because I've sucked this game off enough. I guess I would say that I did encounter two pretty shitty bugs when I was playing the game. 2 times I could not progress because something just kind of went wrong. Here, for example, you're supposed to blow up this trailer and then you go in that hole underneath, but for some reason the trailer, I don't know if it didn't load in properly or something. Look, it's just, the door's there, but it's not, and nothing happens when I hit the plunger. I don't know. I had to reset, and then it was just fine. Happened again during the festival level. This door here I was supposed to unlock, and I don't know what happened, but when I come back later, it's like wedged diagonally. I don't think that's supposed to happen, because after I reset and I got the key to it again, I did all again, it was just normal. I was able to go through. I don't know. It was kind of annoying losing a little bit of progress, but it did at least fix itself both times after a reset, and, you know, I guess I get it. Indie development is hard, you don't have a big budget or a big team, so I guess that being the extent of the bugs I found isn't too bad. And you guys know indie devs, they're always scrambling at every launch trying to fix stuff as fast as possible, so I wouldn't be surprised if this sort of thing was already fixed by the time you play it. As for other stuff, I guess the fact that you do get lost a lot in this game could be another criticism. Like, I do like those moments where you're kind of wandering around just to the music, but if you're not patient, if you don't like that sort of thing, that could be something you would also find irritating. Probably the big obvious criticism, though, is, you know, while the game is undeniably fun as hell to play, I can't really say that every single person's gonna be on board with the in-your-face poop and pee humor. I mean, like, you know, the joke is something beyond that. We're making a character out of the person who wrote these jokes, rather than the joke just being what's written. This joke here is genuinely good as hell. I mean, because it's like Zane writing it without thinking of the implications, so you think of the implications, and it's like, how could he have possibly written that? But even with the occasional genuinely good joke and, you know, the whole multi-layered thing to it, it is still kind of that sort of thing, so if you don't like that sort of thing, if you find it annoying or gross, I don't imagine you'd like the game very much. But hey, even if it's not your cup of tea, you really have to admire the dedication Jay has made to bringing this character to life. I mean, everything he posts on Twitter is just a delight to watch. Reacting to everything completely in character, dude, it just brings me right back to those old stupid video game forums where everybody was angry and 13 and I don't know, it's just so freaking authentic. And that is the exact word I really would use to describe this entire game. Authentic. Because, you know, it kind of does look like it could just be a roller coaster of cheap irony on the surface, right? But it really ends up being so much freaking more than that. Like, between the genuinely fun as hell gameplay, the genuine look and feel to the presentation, and such a beating heart at its very core, right? Like, I really was just expecting some funny little spin-off comedy game, but I kind of can't believe what this thing actually ended up being. And it's only $20 too, so yeah, if you want to check it out, it is currently available on the Xbox Series X and of course PC. I have no idea if it's going to come to other stuff later, but honestly, I would just recommend playing it on the computer with a mouse. I don't often prefer playing games that way, but that is undeniably what this thing's going for, so it's kind of undeniably the best way to play it. So if you like Doom or Duke Nukem or, you know, that kind of thing, I would really freaking recommend this game. Like, you're gonna be booting this up for the poop and pee and fart jokes and stuff, right? But, you're gonna be staying for Slayer's X. Hey, yo, what's up? Thank you for watching. I have a Patreon if you like what I do. I have a $1 podcast if you want to support the show.